I'm Dr. Bodzioch from Atlantic Chiropractic in Stoneham, Mass. Your Pollock Posture Doc. Today we're going to talk about good scar tissue. Okay? On our YouTube channel we already have a poor scar tissue. This is good scar tissue or good tissue, which what we're looking for is good tissue, obviously, and what you're looking for is good tissue. When it's healed properly and correctly, should have nice linear lines. Okay, just like this. And in order for this to heal with good linear lines, guess what happens? There's got to be neurological communication. That neurological communication happens with what? Motion and mobility. Okay? So what do we got here? So it's stronger, it's more elastic, it's active in motion, okay? No flare-ups. Works like it should, right? So you don't feel like when you're moving that joint, oh, I get a clicking motion, right? Or a sound, almost like something's catching in there, right? When I turn my head, wow, you know what? I move it and it's not, it just doesn't feel like it's flowing on this right side, and left side it flows. Okay? And there's no chronic or future pain. So, how does that happen? Okay? So, we got our joint again, right? And the same thing's going to happen. You're getting inflicted with a what? Trauma, right? You get checked from the side. Okay? Or you're going up for a pass and boom, you get blindsided, somebody tackling you. Okay? Or you're in your car minding your own business and somebody rear ends you. Okay? Or you're at work and carrying a heavy load and somebody on the other side of the load lets go and you're left with the brunt of the force and you get traumatized because you got to carry something that's not usual for your weight of what you usually carry. Okay? Or you turn your head and somebody hit you with a 2x4 and you didn't even see it coming, right? So first we got trauma. And remember what I said, trauma is going to be recognized by the body and it's going to respond. Okay? Now, if that trauma occurs and that range of motion is challenged and that range of motion exceeds and it stays there, what's going to happen, that scar tissue is going to start laying down because it's out of its normal motion pattern or range of motion, and there's got to be compensation. That body's going to make compensations for this. Okay? Versus, you got traumatized, you go to your chiropractor and you get adjusted, that joint goes back in place. Or that shoulder gets motion and mobility in it. Okay? Versus it being irritated because it got hyperextended and it sits there for a period of time. Okay? So if we immediately create movement and motion, you're going to have normal healing tissue. Okay? And that normal healing tissue is going to create a stronger, more elastic, a good vascularity, nice smooth motion, mobility and movement, and it's not going to create your flare-ups or irritation. Okay? Because as soon as the trauma happened, as soon as you receive that force, and even though that joint, right, you went into the boards and your head got rotated, okay, but next day you went in and got it motion and reestablished the mobility, you don't have a whole lot of days for that scar tissue to start laying down, and it's particularly that collagen to start forming those lumps between that scar tissue to create all those adhesions. So what I'm sharing with you is the best way to prevent scar tissue is normal motion and mobility and normal patterns. Okay? Obviously, we're talking normal now, right? Normal is when our head and our shoulders are back up over our center of gravity. Okay? So we want our head back, We want our shoulders back. And we want to be up over the center of gravity. Okay? Head forward, shoulders forward, that's not normal posture. Remember, when our head goes forward and our shoulders go forward, what happens? These cavities or these actual capsules in your shoulders start to get impinged. So it's not common for somebody to have forward head, forward shoulders, and these capsules are getting impinged and they got shoulder problems, because literally you're starting to get scar tissue because that shoulders forward, you don't have the full range of motion because you can't bring the shoulders back because they're literally, right, glued into this postural pattern. So again, the longer these negative patterns stay in the body, the more adaptation and compensation occurs, and your body is just doing the very best it can with the circumstances that are presented. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? That's why it's so important, people doing these seated positions and you out on your dining room tables, especially during the virus, get out and walk, get out and move, go out, take your kids out. Motion and mobility. Okay? I know it's tough sometimes. We get in these ruts, you're staying home, and you know what? I'll walk tomorrow, and you go on the couch and you watch your favorite channel. Really got to get out there and move. Right? Motion is life. Right? And the motion is what establishes functional integrity. You know that even your gut flora, okay, the acidity in your gut and the chemistry in your gut makes changes when you exercise versus when you don't exercise. This body is set up for motion. It needs motion in order to mature, grow, and age, okay, like it should be, versus at an accelerated rate. Okay? And the only way you're going to do that is if you schedule it, right? You schedule everything else, schedule your physical activities. These patterns it gets to be that these are the only patterns it knows, right? So you're on your computer, you get off your computer. You get on the couch, you take your iPad, and you're on your iPad. You get off your iPad, now you're on your iPhone. And everybody on the iPhone is looking what? Down. Everybody on their iPad is looking down. They're not looking, keeping their iPad or their apparatus eye level. It's down. So where do you think your head's going? Down. Where do you think your shoulders are going? Down. So again, we want that tissue. That's why we want to create that, keep that motion and that mobility going. Okay? To anchor this tissue and to anchor those patterns. Okay, it's the same thing. Why do they put braces on your teeth and then they take them off? They put retainers. Why? They're trying to anchor those positions of those teeth so they settle the way they need to settle. And it's no different. We're even more challenged, right? These joints are moving day in and day out. So it's even more challenging to anchor this. Okay? Which is exactly why we're different, because we're looking to change the structural mechanics of the spine. We don't just want movement. We want to change the structural integrity so we get the head back. We get those shoulders back. So you change your patterns and you reestablish the movement and mechanics in those joints. Okay? In order for that to occur, we got to make sure this tissue is working with us versus against us. If it's working against us, obviously it's a longer process, because this is good tissue, excuse me. So when we got this tissue going, it's good. When we got the bad tissue going, it takes longer period of time. Okay? So again, we love doing these clips. If you could graciously give us a little love back and hit subscribe, we'd appreciate it. We'd love to hear from you in regards to checking you out to see if you have any patterns, any of the scar tissue that is preventing you from normal movement and motion, and from you just feeling good. Give us a call at Atlantic Chiropractic in Stoneham, Mass. 781 Get Well. Thank you so much. Have a great night.